Okay, so then I think we can start. Thanks. First of all, I want to introduce myself briefly, very briefly. So my name is Ingo, and I'm working in the field of consultative sale and solution tailoring. And I'm working for a company named Snap since 2006, which is quite a long time. And yeah, so, the company Snap is actually located in Hamburg and in Munich. So I'm Mr. Munich, and the rest of the stuff is located in Hamburg. And I care about the customers in the southern parts of Germany. And we are working for the last couple of years for, yeah, honestly, the biggest publishers in Germany with a print run of up to 9 million copies per issue, which is, from my expectation, pretty high number. What we are doing for these customers is mainly integrating systems for the whole editorial production process. So we start with the planning, then we, after the planning, head over to the production, and later, and that's what we're here for, we care about automation in the perspective of output processes. We have a quite big portfolio of products. So we have axaio products, we have colors products, but we have also for the planning, let's say, planning solutions, and the core product, I must say, is an editorial system InDesign based from the German vendor Vune, which is called K4. Perhaps some of you have heard about that. But we're not here for a company presentation. We actually want to talk about a customer story from one of our customers, which is the Wort Bild Verlag, located nearby Munich. Anyone in the room who heard about that publisher? Okay. Ah, nice. At least a few hands. But for the one who doesn't, I want to give at least a few facts. So the publishing house is mainly caring about health magazines or magazines with health topics, and they do it for more than 60 years, and they are definitely the leadership or the leader in that segment. And overall publications, they publish around about 50 million copies a month. So again, quite huge number, and that's good for us. It's a loyal client for more than 13 years. And even here, we care about the whole editorial production process, beginning with planning, production, and the output. And over the years, we have established I must say, a very high level of automation. So we always care about the perspectives that we can identify workflow phases, workflow steps, where we can say, okay, you don't need to do that by hand or with manual efforts. We always try to identify automation aspects, and we did it for the whole ad production. So every ad which comes to the publishing house is automatically received, automatically checked, and we retrieve metadata out of booking systems and all that stuff. And even the output line is yeah, I would say automated by 100% nearly. This is the lead title of the publisher, which is called Apotheken Umschau. Yeah, for us it's more or less we call it lifestyle magazine for retired people, because the topics inside that magazine is mainly about blood pressure or compression stockings or stair lifts. So yeah, but it's very successful. So the publisher managed, as only a few in Germany, to raise their print run in the latest couple of months. So they are pretty successful. Okay, so get a little bit closer to what we actually want to talk about today, and that is not reaching for the stars. It is more that we are talking about a print run of 9 million copies, or nearly 9 million copies. And that is a quite attractive number on one side, but on the other side, it definitely will drive you nuts when you see that you have problems or error sources in your workflow, because it gets, or it could get expensive quite fast. And what I didn't mention is the business model behind that magazine, because the business model is that the pharmacist can buy a part of the print run to give it away for his customers for free. And that is, again, quite successful, because there are a lot of people who get into the pharmacy, and before they even buy a little pocket of medicine, they first ask, oh, can I have the Apotheken Umschau? Because the editorial content is quite good, or I must say high quality, because I see the efforts in the editorial stuff to produce the content. So they are very strict on quality, but when it comes to the content, and that is appreciated by the pharmacy customers. And imagine that these are at least a part of the pharmacists in Germany, and they can book individual covers for their board print run part, and they can customize it on every 4 pages. So the cover is individualized, the second and the U3, and even the U4. He can do every kind of stuff with that, and that needs to be produced. And again, errors get expensive very fast due to the high print run. And there are roughly 1,500 possible combinations for that cover. Okay, so how to survive this? Without losing money, loyal clients, and simply your face or your reputation for the customer. You have to care about such a guy. His brain is pretty simple. He knows only 2 states, lights on and lights off. But he can, in the meantime, as you know, do a lot more. And yeah, I would say you have to continuously think about automating your supply chain from the very beginning, when you receive the booking from your pharmacist, to the end, where you deliver the printable PDFs to your printing partner. Okay, but it's more complex than switching lights on and off, for sure. So you have to focus on, I keep it simple, only a few facts. The first one is single source of truth. So you have you have to keep to focus on one file and try to output it as many times as you need, so that if you have corrections, for instance, a logo chain or a typo chain change, then you won't do this on, I must say, 1,500 documents. So you want to try to reuse that production file as often as you can. But you get into a difficult situation, because you have to do repetition for that. So you have one file and you click layers, then you write a PDF, then you click other layers, and then you write another PDF. And all these PDFs needs to be named properly, exactly 100% properly, because these PDFs will be post-processed afterwards to create the 4-page cover. And repetition, that is our clear experience, repetition fails sooner or later, because somebody misses a layer, or he gets a phone call and is distracted, and starts to rename files in the wrong way, and then you have definitely a problem in your delivery for correct data to your printer. And the last one is don't work through lists, because you get a list for sure from the booking system, but you want to do it manually. So you want the other way around, let lists work for you. So you need machine readable data for the whole production or supply chain. Okay, so yeah, actually you might be a little bit lost now. So how could I achieve all that stuff, although it's pretty logical? Yeah, we offer WTF-free data-driven workflows. And I just want to not only promise, I want to show you how that works. And for that, we take a look at a very brief, short phase of the production. And it starts more or less with a basic delivery, which is not produced by the publisher, because as you can imagine, this is more or less these are more or less documents with ads, advertisements, which can be booked by companies, by clients, and they are more or less delivered in advance by ad booking or ad production agencies. But that is just the middle part, and now we have to care about the rest. So we have a cover, and we have a last page of the cover, the U4, and that is partly, at least, editorial responsibility, and that is produced with InDesign. And we can just start with one file, which is the cover. And yeah, it looks like a regular cover, but this is that is the first time where you approach that buzzword of single source of truth I mentioned before, because the cover is only produced once. But when we take a look at a tool we appreciate very much, which is MadeToPrint, and we simply have one job, PDF export cover, and I hit on print. In this case, PDF files are exported, and when we take a look at the result, we can see in a few seconds that there's not only one PDF created for the cover instead of a couple of ones. It takes perhaps a few seconds because that is real production data, and the images are quite big. Yeah, there we have it. So we get actually 7 different flavors of the cover. We exchange buttons, we exchange logos. There are different languages, for instance, or at least different regions. We have a cover for the Swiss people, for the German, for the Austrian people. And then we have some clients who are so important that they get a personalized cover, for instance, with a different kind of logo or a different kind of banner. How does that work? It's pretty easy. We use another component or another plugin from Axaio, which is called MadeForLayers. And you can easily access it over here. And here you can see that we have for each individual cover an own layer configuration, and the naming of the layer configuration is later on already used for properly renaming or naming the files, the PDF files in the file system. And that is quite an easy one. It's not such complex, but when you click on these layer configurations, you will see that the cover will change its visual thing. Okay, so that is at least what we need to do. The second part is that we now have the first page, we have the second and the third page of the cover, mainly delivered by the ad files. And now we have to care about the U4. And I again switch back to InDesign and open the last page. And you can see that it is more or less blank. But that has pretty simple reason, because we receive in parallel to the cover special PDFs for an imprint. So we get a combination of 2 PDF files here, which are stamped more or less together to produce the U4. And when I output that, again, I choose MadeToPrint for doing this and export the PDFs. And when I get back to my file system, I can see that there again produced quite a lot of, let's say, combinations. And you can see that we have, for instance, crossword puzzles in different formats. For instance, here we have a full-page crossword puzzle or a half-page. And when we take a look at this, for instance, then you can see that there's a text layer included. So, and all these combinations can be booked by the pharmacist, so that he can say, okay, I want a little bit of editorial stuff here, but as a leisure service, I want to include a crossword puzzle as well. And now we have at least a lot of pieces together. So we have our base layer for producing our individualized covers, but especially for the last page, we need to achieve that combination with the imprint. And the imprints are, I can show it to you in a second, like this. And that is delivered by the pharmacy, obvious enough in a poor quality, but we have to check that before. With, you can guess, tools like pdfToolbox for see that the content is really printable. And as you can see here, the files are numbered in a more or less cryptical way, but cryptical means in that case that this is already machine readable. So these numbers are interconnected with the booking the pharmacy or the pharmacist has done before. And we need to pick up these files and bring it onto the last page of our cover. And for that, we have a file which is delivered by a booking system. I can show it to you like, hopefully like this, yes. So, and as you can see here, it's again machine readable data. It's an Excel file which is exported by the system who cares about the bookings. We keep the interface pretty simple. You can imagine that you can do much more tighter integration with database access and all that stuff. But for this, we just reuse that file. It is used for other integrations, other systems as well, and we just pick it up. And the question is, how do we pick it up? And there I must switch to a tool, switch to a tool. So this is InFocus Switch. I think a lot of you have seen that as well. And this is more or less the workflow we have created for that. So we receive on the top the Excel file, and to make it a little bit more machine readable, we convert it into JSON. Because we need to modify that data later on. We have to add more information into that, and this is much more easier with JSON. And then we process this JSON in the directives that we read the JSON file, and then we can identify which U4 PDF we have to combine with a proper imprint. And this is more or less 100% automation, so I just start the flow and just have to drop in my Excel file into my incoming directory. And then a lot of magic happens. I can't really show you what happens now. I just can show you what you are mostly interested in, and that is the result. When we, for instance, take a look at the result when it comes to the Excel file, you can see it here. And I honestly had forgotten to start Excel before. It might take ages. But in the meantime, we can see that here for job ready, for instance, we get a counter which is actually at 48, and it will increase a little bit more. And when we take a look in our results folder, Excel is up, okay. So we focus on that before. And what you can see here is that we extract data and we enrich data because we just want to, in some sort of logging, write back to that Excel file which cover had been created successfully. Because it could always happen that an imprint PDF from the pharmacy had not yet been delivered, or it had been delivered in the wrong way and we have to reject it. And here the responsible project manager can see immediately which covers had been able to be produced. And when we step back to the file system, we can see here a list, but not yet a list. First of all, we see a folder, AA1910, which is the issue number of the Apotheken Umschau. And then we get a subdirectory, and all that is created based on metadata, automatically by MadeToPrint, or in this case by Switch, but MadeToPrint could do this as well. And here we get a brief list or a short list of PDFs which had been produced out of 2 documents. Keep that in mind. So we have only one layout for the cover and one layout for the last page of the cover, and we produced it's not 100% correct, so it's 64 files, for instance. Without repetition, without manual impact, without, I must say, at least mainly the chance of doing errors by hand. So, and that is important when it comes to production safety. Because I will leave the demo part and get back to my beloved keynote. Okay. Because I just want to point out at least a few important topics why MadeForLayers was the perfect tool for that project, because the customer wants to stop the hassle of wrong layout export, and that happened in the past very often, because you see the huge amount of PDFs that needs to be produced. And if you want to have flexible layer sets, then yes, MadeForLayers is a really good tool, and it works on individual documents. But you use it for the whole production, because you can put that information of view sets or layer view sets in your production templates, and then they are replicated automatically for every document you produce out of that template. And by the end, if you want to find a perfect companion for MadeToPrint, because MadeToPrint brings the real strengths into that. Before, it's again a manual process. You have to click the layer sets in MadeToPrint, in MadeForLayers. But when you use MadeToPrint for that, this is become more or less a true automation and 100% automation for exporting your documents in your output chain. And you have a trust for high quality export in a reliable structure, because you can reuse or can use metadata for naming your files, for creating directories and subdirectories and all that stuff. And you are in a trustful environment, because there is no manual impact. Nobody has to choose the correct output profile, for instance, for the job. And both are available for InDesign and Illustrator, although I here just used InDesign, and in the schedule there was written that I want to show MadeToPrint Server as well, but as you can guess, MadeToPrint Server can't be shown. It's a user interface, less application, and it would be pretty boring if I had used MadeToPrint Server. But the functionality is by 100% comparable. So what you achieve with MadeToPrint, at least with MadeToPrint Auto, you get with the server component as well. And then we used pdfToolbox in a very easy way. So we just use it to combine these 2 PDFs, the imprint and the page 4 of the cover. But it's a very powerful prefab solution. We use it in many other aspects for each PDF related stuff, because it's aware of every relevant standard from PDFA to PDFX, and a standalone application or as high performance variable driven server for high volumes. And we have high volumes, as you can guess. Thanks for listening. I'm more or less done, as you can guess. So I hope you have seen at least some valuable stuff for you. And if you want to get in contact with me, just point your phone to the beamer, and then you get the LinkedIn contact to me if you have questions later on or other interesting stuff we might discuss. Okay, thanks.